Hello.
Hello, Glenn.
Hi.
I'm getting tougher and tougher.
Hey?
I'm getting tougher and tougher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you do now? Who did you spank?
No, I didn't spank anybody. I did have a conversation with a guy. He's interviewed you, but he I don't know. He talks about really his whole thing is everything is Jewish people. It's a Jewish conspiracy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just
heard that one many times before.
Yeah. Interesting, but
they don't even look in the mirror because we're all white guys descended from the same place.
Well, actually, this guy is actually Iranian.
Yeah, well, he's basically
he's
from
a Kurd. He told me.
No, they're the ones that created Jerusalem.
So I don't know, but he's like in the media because he works for they call it Revere Radio, and it's the media basically. It's just alternative media. It's a Patriot radio station, and he told me
it's all rigged. Eh?
Yeah.
The same people organize both sides of that argument.
Yeah.
So, and it all has to do with how you move money. You know, you get a bunch of people on one side of the argument, and they throw in their money. You get the other gang on the other side, and they throw in the money, and the guy in the middle runs off with it all.
That's the media?
Called toll gating.
I want to ask you a question. Have you ever, do you ever get, a block, or a mental block, or... Cause that's why I've been feeling like
every morning I get up with a mental block.
I felt like I don't know, just maybe a ray or something was just getting shot at me and just blocking my whole thinking process. Or maybe I sat in front of the computer too long. I don't know.
I every morning get up and say, and what am I going to talk about today? I have no idea. And then just get up and feed the cats and go to the bathroom, take the plug out. All of a sudden, somewhere, somehow, something that someone needs comes out. Not always what everybody needs, but somebody out there looking for an answer, and that's the answer for him. And everybody else says, "What the hell is he talking about?"
Now, I came across something on the internet, and I remember what you said. You said New Age Copenhagen, and that's Copenhagen's where Al Gore and those guys are deciding the fate of humanity or something, or where they discuss this whole climate change and all that stuff. That's from what I could see. Copenhagen was, and what you calling it New Age, because that's really that whole religion that's supports all that, that pantheism.
Because it matches with the other word, her-it-age. It's your heritage. Her-it-age is the new age. When she becomes an it.
She already did.
Eh?
She already did.
Yeah.
Come an it. To keep us anticipating, I guess, in a way, but it's already happened.
Yep. There's certainly, if not the whole job has been done, certainly the biggest part of the job has been done. And now they're dealing with refinements.
Yeah, so yeah, I started going through the encyclopedia again and coming across things like interesting when you look into like metallurgy, and the study of these minerals and stuff. And I came across the word that said alkali.
Alkali?
Yeah. I thought that was an interesting word. Yeah. They say it's something that you put in the metals to make it
alkali.
Yeah, that's what it was. Alkali.
You put the accent on the wrong syllable.
Yeah, that's what it is. But that's interesting how they have the word Kali.
Yeah.
Kali. So yeah, I'm studying
the role of the goddess Kali, whose job it was to keep the destroyer of the world in check or something.
What region was that? What country was that?
Well, it's all hints that were given back in the time of the Brahmin.
Yeah,
3500 BC to 1500 BC was basically the period where they were manufacturing religions. So they had the priests that they were going to send to Egypt, the other ones sent to Persia, and the ones they would set up for Asia, the Brahmin, Buddhist, Daoist, Taoist, you name them, to the Japanese crew.
I think somebody mentioned that when you look at the Egyptian names, some of them actually carried over the names from India.
Yeah, Gypsy.
Yeah. Huh.
Gypsy became Egyptian.
Yeah, exactly. I know a guy who lived in Ireland, and he told me that the gypsies over there, he said that you couldn't trust them. He said that they had this tradition amongst themselves, like when the child was born, they would put it in a cold stream of water, and if it survived, it meant that it was superior.
Yeah. Well, they have a lot of rituals, but it all goes back to the same thing. I mean, they are all people who were manufactured. They're Roma. They're known as travelers, wanderers. They carry with them what they need to live with, and one of their major symbols is a sink, going down the sink.
Sink and toilets.
Yeah.
Drains and stuff.
Plumbing.
The
plumbing of human beings, starting with the esophagus and ending up with the urine. And the plumbing.
Penultimate is the doo-doo, caca.
Yeah, that's penultimate, yeah. Just before the end, you take out the most valuable things you need. And, of course, to human beings, they can't see a purpose for excrement. But as any good honey guide knows, he leads the animals to the stuff that provides them with instant gratification, and then he grabs the infrastructure. In a beehive, the symbolism is you bring an animal who will want the honey, and when he leaves behind the infrastructure of wax. The genetic engineer swoops in and grabs the wax, and then he's got storage space for all of his eggs to put into cold storage.
Have you ever looked into, like, a cesspool? companies?
Well, cess immediately refers to insiders because it's ESS, as in princess, duchess.
Yeah. Because they know that's like pretty valuable. That's all that stuff. Yeah. And what do you think they're like using or diverting all that stuff to?
Yeah, well, prostitution was the first trade, and to the person who deals with a prostitute, it's again the same concept of the honey guide. Is there for instant gratification. They do their thing, but the prostitute's job was to go and turn in the DNA. And eventually it got refined down to condoms, basically allowed the DNA to be contained within a package so it wouldn't get mixed up with the prostitute's own fluids. So the first trade was to collect DNA. Send the boys out to a group of women that you've programmed and let them collect the DNA, and then they start a file on this is Joe Blow, watch what he does, watch his lifestyle, and then read the DNA and see if you can match up actions with markers in the DNA.
So what?
You can't do it with one person, but as you build up the file with 1,000 people who are doing similar things, you can then find it within the DNA.
So what type of woman do you think is actually willing to go and steal the sperm of a person or a man?
Well, a programmed woman. It's recessive genetics. We're all robots at the beginning. And we're all programmed with different programs, and there's no difference with women. You know, some of them are programmed for prostitution, others are programmed for prostitution on a grander scale, like become the president of a country. And some are mid-range prostitution, get married. You know. The principle is the same. Yeah. You are basically controlling through someone's short-term needs.
Exactly. That's what the Lord of the Rings was all about.
The ring is the basic structure of the plan is the breast. So you have a mound. So there's a lot of talk on mounds.
Yeah, I read about them. Actually, Native American group called the Mound Builders, and they would build mounds all around.
Yeah. And on top of the mound, you have what they call the areola. Yeah. Which is the ring around the nipple. And within the areola are the glands that send instructions to the pituitary gland, for example, to make milk when it's time to feed a baby. But it also has the communications devices to tell the woman that it's time that she, if she was a hermaphrodite at the beginning, maintain an egg so that it can be fertilized by the testes that was inside of her.
So I know the breast is a communication device, but would you say that like the hips and thighs and buttocks of a woman is a communication device as well? For
some social groups, some nationalities, the bigger the thighs, the bigger the rear end, the better it is, in their opinion, they're looking for fatter-looking women. Yeah. In other societies, such as the one we've just lived through, where everybody has to be on a diet, it's the opposite. Yeah, and the system uses methods of making women feel good or bad by going against the grain.
Yeah, because in America, it's really, when you look at actually a certain demographic of people. Like if you look into, like, usually it's black or Hispanic, they're more into the big fatter buttocks and yeah. But really, all around, generally, like all males, it's really big breasts is what they all pay attention to. So,
well, the size of the breast is not as important as the balance. When one gets down to the nitty-gritty, each woman has a balance, and it includes the head and the feet and the body. And if something is out of proportion,
you have humongous jugs, and you're like, yeah. Because I've seen women like who get the breast implant. It's like weird. It looks like the breasts are like really weighing them down. Yeah. It was
the most attractive woman, I think, is one whose face suggests kindness.
Yeah.
But all women speak with their breasts as well, and that's why religion covered them up, because they didn't want that communications to exist.
But they still do that in Africa, right? They still communicate. So do you think they just haven't been able to eradicate that in Africa? Or
well, they're working at it. Oh. They wanted to use Africans for a long time as examples of savages. So if you didn't cover up, they called you a savage.
Yeah, my friend is actually like wants gonna let me. Maybe I'll mail it to you, because I was thinking of mailing you some DVDs and maybe a little cash or something to help you out. But,
well, chicken feed would be handy these days.
Yeah, that's what I was doing it for.
Especially with all our money having to go recently on cold weather.
Yeah. And he was gonna let me borrow this. They call them Mondo films, and it's like people who go into other cultures and show like things that would look kind of like wild or ridiculous to some people, like aspects of the culture. Like one thing I see in Africa, they show this African tribe, and the priest actually had tribe rubbing feces all over themselves for, I think, good luck, and the cows that they had, the cattle, if they wanted to increase like fertility, or and the cow would blow inside the vagina of the cow, and this is all the priests had them doing this. Yeah. So.
If you grab the context of what a feces means to the controllers.
Feces?
Feces.
Yeah, feces.
Excrement.
Look at the word, how you pronounce it.
Feces.
Yeah, feces.
So it's linked to female.
Yeah.
Fee. And C's. EC.
Yeah.
Iron maidens. Iron ladies.
Yeah.
It's all basically, on the one hand, to denigrate And at the same time, during rituals, I suspect what they do is they force people to take baths and shit or something.
Oh wow!
Because one couple that I know, I was doing a presentation at an alternative medicine show in Toronto, and they had sent me my tickets and everything, and then a couple decided that they wanted to videotape it and asked me it was okay if they came to my room. And I said, sure, if you're driving from Ottawa, there's usually 2 beds in the room. You can have the other bed. You don't need 2 beds. And when they arrived, I was sleeping 10 o'clock at night or something. I opened the door, and I have never smelled anything worse in my life. It was enough to knock me over. And I, of course, had to let them come in the room. and I thought, these people will go take a shower.
Yeah.
But no, they got into bed. And I had to hide under the blankets. My eyes were watering. And I didn't have the guts to ask them, where the hell have you been?
Where were they from? They
were from Ottawa, and we were now in Toronto for this speaking engagement.
They were average
whatever
Canadian?
they did was in between leaving Ottawa and getting to Toronto. And I suspect now that I know the stuff a little bit more, because that was back in the early 1990s. They probably went to a place like Trenton. Could basically have been in a morgue or in some ritual surrounding where excrement would have been used or something. But boy, I'll never forget that, because that's the worst smell I have ever smelled in my entire life. And thank goodness that before they came down to videotape, they must have taken a shower, because I didn't smell it after that.
And they act like nothing even happened?
And, yeah, for them, they acted like they didn't even know it. So I don't know if they'd been brainwashed or if it's just that they do that all the time. But it was terrible.
Oh, man.
I mean, I deal with animals all the time. I'm not the one that worries about a little bit of, manure here and there. But this was totally different. This was a mixture of shit and rotting corpses is probably what it smelled like.
Oh, man. Yeah, another scenario in those Mondo films, I'm not sure what part of the world it was, but it's where they have people, like, would rub their knees on the cement, right? And they'd be crawling on their knees and rubbing their tongue, bleeding all over the place. I think it was some, like, religious ceremony. It's just interesting. It's like, wow, it can become fascinating how far the priesthood will go,
Well, I don't think I need to view any of that.
Mental picture.
Yeah, that's enough.
Yeah.
It's like I don't need to go wherever that couple had been.
Yeah.
So enough of my own stuff to do here.
Yeah. So another thing that was interesting was I was talking to somebody, and he mentioned how gold was used in Egypt as a conductor. When I was looking it up, They say it's actually a pretty good conductor of electricity. Gold.
Not as good as copper.
Yeah, not as good as. I think silver is probably better than gold. They say.
Yeah.
But can you imagine? Because it was only looked at as. It still is, but looked at as. Only a certain class could wear it, and you could think all the rulers who wear gold crowns. It's probably being used to maybe transmit a type of like message to them.
Well, if you're going to use a currency, gold is as good as anything because it's really useless.
Yeah.
And you turn it into some people's idea of value, and then you can control the economies of different countries by increasing or decreasing the supply.
They could have used any metals, right? They could have used.
Sure. I mean, if somebody really wanted something valuable, they'd use something other than gold. And gold is not exactly the thing that is most useful, except as a decoration.
Like diamonds and stuff. They have probably hordes of crystal on the ground, all types of.
They increase or decrease the supply depending on what they want the value to be.
It's interesting how they, with the gold and diamonds, so like they link it up with like stellar, lunar, and solar. Symbols they make.
Number 2 is number 1.
So silver, you're saying, is number 1.
Yeah. Silver
is the moon.
Can be used for jewelry, but it also has a purpose. You know, more interest in its purpose than just a decoration. I mean, it's the basis of a lot of photographic chemistry.
Yeah, because I look at these metals. These guys, I think it's just interesting, like with the science of like mineralogy, how they could make alloys and stuff like that, and make stronger metals and all this type of thing.
Yeah. Well, that's the premise of this new slave.
Yeah.
We're going back in time. Black is back, and so we're going from light to dark, but not all the way, not the way it was. So they want to stop us at tan, mulatto, and they want to add things that weren't there at the beginning.
Yeah, that's what they said. An alloy is when you add another metal, which makes it stronger when you add something. So, and they said that alloy actually comes from the French standard.
Well, the key in there is allo.
Allo.
Allo, which is the French word for hello. And phonetically, it says in the water. Throw it allo, jette-le allo. It's not spelt the same way, but it's phonetically the same sound. Allo. À terre means on the ground. Allo means in the water. So if you're going to flush everybody down the toilet, you're going to put them in the water. And phonetically, that would be allo. In the spelling in French, it's A-L'-E-A-U. But it sounds the same thing as the hello, allo in French. And of course, people whose name is Malloy have allo in there.
So yeah, Glenn, I don't know, I'm just coming across these things, like little things, like what's the word? Like I was reading a little bit on Peru. It's interesting. Like, why would they call it Peru? Like the same.
You read.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It was like you read you or. So were they saying us? It's like the us.
No, it's also, if you're saying in French, P is the way, because rue in French, R-U-E, is the street, and the street, S-T, is 2 and 1.
That's another thing, Glenn. Like, it's been getting to me. Like, there's a whole other way of looking at this that I'm not grasping because I don't understand the French, and there's another way of breaking down with the code that I've seen Tom do, and I guess I'd have to learn that more.
Yeah. The code has many variations.
Yeah.
Many variations, and you can't limit yourself to one interpretation because you'd be missing a lot of different interpretations. The more of those interpretations you can learn, alphanumeric, French to English, English to French, English to other languages, all of these things that you can do in your head,
the
better it is.
Yeah.
Because you find the most appropriate.
Well, I find when you use that Desdemona, that's a really interesting variation.
Yeah.
And
Desdemona, you can tell, is a common way of communication for educated people in that time, that could associate pictographs to letters and numbers. They would have had to have been ecclesiastics. And it probably goes back right to the beginning, right to the beginning of the alphabet. Like we're told we have 26 letters. We don't have 26 letters in Roman language. We have 24 letters, just like the Greeks have 24. The Hebrew 22. Our misinterpretation is with the letter W and the letter M. We think that's a different letter, but it's really just two letters put together.
Flipped upside down.
And in the code, when you're doing the translation of codes in language, you can stop on a M or a W and divide it and use one N for something and the other N for something else.
And how about the letter N and U?
That's a matter of turning it around.
Yeah, that's what I thought M and W were. That's the matter.
But M and W is different because it has these two of the same side by side. In typesetting, when I was young and doing typesetting by hand, you learn about spacing before you learn the characters. And the spaces are called, in some cases, N space. Or M space is two N spaces. So it's basically a reminder that the letter M and W, which, by the way, is not a W, but a double V. In all other languages but English, it's W.
Yeah, I think you get a better understanding when you just use that Desdemona because of the way they're shaped.
Yeah.
Easier. I remember you saying a while back when you were talking about Tiger Woods' daughter. Her name was Sam, yeah. and you said it was something like linked to Christmas, like Christ's Mass.
Yeah.
And I thought about it, like in the French, Guillaume, this is my last name, is a common last name with people. But my last name what differs from mine. It's Guillaume Sam.
Yeah.
And
Guillaume Sam?
Yeah. Guillaume
Sam really is a derivative of Sima, which is the Moho discontinuity. And they then use it for the word ami in French, meaning friends. Mm-hmm. So anyone that has Sam is supposed to be a friend of the Moho discontinuity.
So maybe that's what I was made.
Yeah.
Because that's in my last name, man. I'm starting to see that. Like, that's...
Obviously, you didn't give yourself the name. Somebody had to give it to you, and you can't read their mind. Mm-hmm. You know, the same way as I was given Emmett Patrick. You know, why would anybody call themselves Patrick?
Oh, Emmett.
That's a paw trick.
Yeah, Patrick. Yeah.
And Emmett just basically is a conductor. The two T's just for Emma.
Oh, to emit. Yeah. Yeah, so, well, no, I'm just
somebody knew when they were giving me those names, but today it's hard to judge because a lot of people change their names with things like Cavalarianism and that other group, Equilibrium.
Yeah, that's the group you came in contact with.
Yeah. So they believe that your name is like a tuning fork. Every time it's uttered, it gives out a wave band that everybody else responds to, and it's either positive or negative. And so if you got the wrong name, they say you'll live in misery all your life.
Well, that's you, because you got 7 letters. Be alone.
I'm a number 7, so.
But you like being alone, so it's not really that bad. But yeah.
I like being alone when I have work to do.
Yeah.
And I like having people around to listen to other people's opinions, but my own, when I don't have work to do. The two sometimes are fighting over attention. That's life.
Yeah. Yeah, with me, I'm trying to, I don't know, I want to set up something like where I can be around other people, but like there's a lot of people in this world I just really don't want to be around. But,
yeah, I know the feeling.
So, but I'm still trying to learn though. But.
Yeah. The best thing is, you have access to a farm.
Yeah.
You can have an RV in the back someplace where you can go, or a gazebo, and go read, as long as it's got screening and you're not being eaten by the bugs while you're trying to read. Yeah. That's the nicest part of having a farm. If you own it, you're in trouble because they'll come after you. Best you just rent a little corner.
Yeah. I guess we're so mad how, like, here we are as life beings in this universe, and you have to be slaves to something else,
Well, that's what they set up.
You can't, like, being, like, what you were meant to do is a crime.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. But yeah, it's a tough life. That's why Jesus carries that cross on his back. Telling you,
he carries the cross to tell you that he's on their team.
That's his.
And he carries the spikes in his hairband.
Telling you he's brainwashed by media.
Saying that the media has filled him with bullshit. He's been downloaded all this crap.
And he's wearing that long white dress. Tell you he's in the scene.
Which he calls a robe, French word for dress.
Yeah. Yeah, now in that book, Pilgrim's Progress, there's an allegory in there I couldn't grasp. There's one part, I don't know if you remember the story, but there's one part where one of the main guys, his name is Christian, and his wife is Christiana, and she meets with this guy called the interpreter, and she walks into an empty room, I think a few empty rooms, and she learns these lessons from looking at a spider, a chicken, and a hen, I think it was. I'm not sure what they were trying to say. But this is the things why I want to be on the phone. Because I think if I looked at chickens and hens, and I would know these type of things.
The best picture you can get is the Dutch painting, Night Watch.
Night Watch.
That's the picture of the team of people set up to defend the system. Mm. You look at each individual, you'll find all the types of people that work the system, the soldier, the policeman, the politician, the money boys, the wee man, the ones you can't really make out, and the gorilla foot.
So, like, I do look at these paintings. I think they're really interesting when you look at paintings. There's one painting by guy, his last name Allstone. It was one painting where it's basically ships on like this rough sea, and I was like, yeah, that's me, man.
By the way, don't forget your haggis tomorrow.
Oh, Howie Haggis? Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
It's, what's his name? Robbie Burns Day.
Robbie Burns
tomorrow. You're supposed to have haggis for supper.
What is a haggis? I don't even know what that is.
It's you massacre an animal, you pull out his stomach, you empty it, you chop up all kinds of stuff, you throw it inside, you boil it, you make a sausage out of it, and you serve it to people who say it's good, and they all nod, yeah.
Yeah. Are you the type of guy? Do you like trying different types of foods from different cultures?
In small quantities at first. I don't like being stuck with an entire meal of something I can't stand.
Yeah. Like I've seen.
I'll try almost anything, in little portions.
Yeah. Me too. I've seen one time. I seen on a show one time that they had I think it was in Australia. Like they have this delicacy where they take an armadillo and they just like make a soup or something out of the armadillo. Yeah. And they actually serve it in the show. So, whoa. So I always wanted to try different stuff like that. See what it would be like.
Yeah, you never know what you're missing if you don't try it.
Yeah.
There might be something there that you really like.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I enjoyed about Expo was when it came to Montreal, they had all of these pavilions that served food, and you could go from one place to another. try different things. And I found one of the things that I enjoyed the most was Korean food.
Mm.
Just the smell of everything while you're eating. It has a smell that's a little bit like toast. Some of it is too hot for me, though. but a lot of it was pretty good. And I never would have thought that I would enjoy Korean food.
Danny Boy wanted me to come eat some, go to Korean. It says a lot of it's spicy.
Yeah. Yeah. I know the waitress had an argument with me when I said I'll have some of that. She said, "You want it spicy or real spicy?" I said, "Yeah, I like spicy. Make it spicy." She said, "No, if you're Canadian, you've never tasted spicy." Yeah. and I took it, a little portion, and my tears were rolling down my face.
What do the Canadians know for? What delicacies do they have over there?
Chinese food. Pizza.
Wow, man, that's America. That's like
mashed potatoes and meat.
Oh wow, I thought they had like specific like meals that like only like that are known, like moose or.
Canada is a country like America where people came from all over the world.
Mm.
So there really isn't anything. You know, if you go to the carnival, they'll sell you something called beaver tails.
Beaver tails.
And they're just basically a pancake that they call beaver tail and charge you $20 for. There really is nothing. I think every ethnic group has its specialty. You know, in Quebec, you will have things like cipai, they call it, which is a pastry with 6 different meats in it. Or they'll have tourtière at Christmas, which is a ground pork, beef, meat pie. English people, you know, have mashed potatoes with overcooked meat. French people have French fries with meat that hasn't been off the hoof yet. It's almost like you expect it to go walking off the plate.
Yeah. I mean, they like their meat like that in America. They like that bloody meat.
I like, you know, my steak medium rare.
Yeah, it tastes better that way. I think the flavor stays in there. But
English people seem to always have to kill it first, you know, turn it into shoe leather.
Yeah. And what they eat over there in Ireland? What's known? It's potatoes and what? Corned beef hash.
Yeah.
That's the.
I don't really know what they consider to be Irish food.
Mm-hmm.
Beer, probably.
Yeah, why is that? Like, why is it like? It seems like it's really promoted. Like,
well, it depends on where they came from, and you know, wine was the original alcohol, but there wasn't enough grapes to go around, so they had to come up with a different
fermentation process,
and beer won the prize.
Yeah.
And the reason beer won the prize is they wanted to figure out how close to a pregnant woman they could make men look like. and they come damn close. I had a place on the campground a couple of years ago, and I used to watch the men go by, and they all look pregnant.
And they say that the beer too makes like ugly women look better to the men. Maybe that's how they got the wee men in there.
Any alcohol make anybody look better.
But I mean, that's how they got the wee men, the real like.
But what looks good to one group look bad to another.
Yeah, that's true.
There's no such thing as good and bad.
But they're standardizing it now. Now it's when you look at Hollywood, it's blonde. That's the that's the new beautiful. Oh.
In my entire life, we've changed. One stage of the game, I remember Twiggy was the model for everybody had to be skinny.
Yeah.
Then it kind of faded, and now I guess we're up to a place where, hey, whatever turns you on.
Yeah. yeah. Yeah, I see that. I see. But yeah, when you these like mountains around the world, right? Like I came across the Alps, and these are like really high mountains, and they're connected to like a couple countries. All these mountains, are they all serve a purpose? Are they all bases or some type of?
Yeah, well, they're all either newer or older. The flatter they are, the older they are, and the newer they are, and the higher and more sharp, abrupt is the rock.
So if it's higher, there's less likely people are living in there? Or?
If it's higher, it's colder as you go up, so people wouldn't be living much at the top. But that doesn't mean they don't have something down below.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, do they actually, like, drill holes within the mountain and live within, like...
Depends on how the mountain was made. If the mountain was made like a volcano, you already have a hole in the middle of the cone.
Yeah.
If the mountain was made by plates of the earth rubbing against each other and one slipping up over the top of the other one, then it's just rocky. But in all those places, you'll find that there are tunnels and spaces. It's underground's an interesting place.
I know a guy, right, Glenn? I know a guy who he was like looking at your work a little bit, and he still is trying to prove like hermaphroditic origins and stuff to himself. And one thing that he wants to do, he wants to actually go digging, go through a cave and go to down and see how far he can get to the Mohawk's continuity.
Well,
that's impossible.
There are a number of places in the world where he can start. Choose a cone volcano, and you're probably in a more direct line.
Oh, you're not going to get 5 feet within those places. You're gonna die.
You got to bring rats with you. Because the rats, you put them in powder and they'll find all the little holes, and then you can spend a century or two expanding the holes.
Like the old days, eh?
Yeah, move from one place to another. But Turkey is one place that's basically loaded with tunnels, and Israel, Jerusalem is built on a whole bunch. Anything that has hills probably was created by a blind thrust pushed from below.
So when they do those blind thrusts, they're actually starting a process of making, tunnels later on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I see that, like, that whole area, like, with the Kurds and Turkey, and it's an interesting area. I have yet to really look into that, but from what the overview, it looks kind of interesting. Every one of those countries, like you mentioned, like they're all like significant, in the past or in the present.
The whole geology of the Earth was studied before the Ice Age, and decisions were made on where they would send people to live, and what their task would be.
So they traveled, do you think, Neanderthals, around the world already?
Yeah, around the world and under the world. I would suggest that some lighter-than-air balloon-type vehicle.
Do you think the human beings hunted Neanderthals? The ones that weren't geniuses?
Well,
they hunted them down and killed them?
At one time, there was a debate between were they human-like or were they gorillas? And the average person didn't have any particular training on humanities. So, I mean, a lot of Neanderthalers, I would suggest, were killed thinking they were gorillas.
Why would they think they were gorillas?
Because they had more hair then. Lived in caves, basically on the west coast of Africa.
And the thought process of these ones that weren't genius, were they more like Homo habilis? Or like, because you said Homo habilis was just above the level of, I don't know, like an animal? Or...
Well, from what I know, Neanderthaler and clan mother were twins. At one stage of the game, they come from the same place. Same trial and error was going on all the time. It doesn't mean they were the first, but they were the first who survived. And for some reason, they got separated. One was raised in one environment, and the other one was raised in another environment. When you try to analyze what Neanderthaler environment was, it usually comes down to some damp, wet place. And that means, are you talking about sea cow type of animals that basically did the nurturing?
But they didn't have that, like, from what I could see, it doesn't seem like they have that type of nurturing like Homo habilis, like, because you said they were like raised around like cats, and they're more like
alligators.
Yeah, they like cold, like a colder. I don't know, use the word colder type of engineering. Was just, and that's how they. If you notice, rich families, elite families, they actually, when their parents don't raise them, like they're raised specifically so they don't have compassion with other people. So they're all engineered that way. So that's like a known science. I guess Neanderthals seen that. I was like, oh, it's, you know. And
the word marsh is, of course, linked.
Harsh.
Ars. To Mars.
Yeah.
You know, there is some literature that talks about the possibility in the past that Mars and Venus were one planet and came in contact with Earth like two billiard balls, and Mars and Venus were broken into two pieces, and one went closer to the sun, the other one went further from the sun, and it's all allegory for the division of the genders. You have this situation where Venus is close to the sun, and its word suggests cash because it's revenue. Venus and revenue have a lot of similarity. And behind them is the Mother Superior. That planet.
Superior man just depresses me, Glenn. Whenever you mention superior man, it just depresses me.
Just flushing of the toilet, man. It's really messed up, man. So.
Mercury is the mother superior, because that's what it says. Ma, mother, Curie, priest, the female priest. Therefore, the boss is the mother superior.
Actually, you just reminded me, there's a mountain, I think it's in the Andes mountain, near the Andes, I don't know. It's called Mer Glacé.
Yeah.
Mer Glacé, you just reminded me.
That's frozen sea.
Ah, frozen sea. So it was a sea at one time. That froze? Is that what they say?
Yeah, well, if the sea bounced up, as it did one time in the past in a big tsunami type activity, and put seawater, salt water, on top of a mountain and froze, they would call it mer glacée, frozen seawater. The amount of salt in it has to be less than what keeps it.
Because salt can't freeze, right? It actually keeps things.
Salt doesn't freeze, but there's a percentage there.
That has to be. Okay. All right.
Like the Sea of Galilee, obviously, is salt water that was splashed when they broke the dam that separated the Red River from the Indian Ocean and turned it into the Red Sea. It came rushing in, would have hit the rocks near Mount Sinai and bounced over and put some water on the other side, then had no way to retreat. The breaking of land bridges for the purpose of cataclysmically changing societies is not new. They've been using that process for years, and to believe that it wouldn't happen today is basically to live with your head in the sand.
Yeah.
If they did it
before you said
to the Gulf of Arabia, if they did it to the Sea of Marmara, broke the Bosphorus, why wouldn't they flush the toilet in North America? Especially when they set up all the languaging. It's a little eerie to look up there.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, this group of people that I'm still looking at, like, the Basque people, how much power do they really have? How much influence? Because I'm seeing...
They're basically the people who start fashion, change direction.
Oh, okay, all right. Because
so they're kind of out in front.
Because were they involved in anything like that was involved with Spain taking over or conquering a land?
I think they were writing languages in Andorra. You probably have entry underground into the Pyrenees, and much of the work they did was to create new languages. Somebody had to be writing from a basic model these 6,000-7,000 languages that are around the world today. And since everybody was basically picked up by the Phoenicians and dropped off in different places with different languages, somebody had to be the head office.
Yeah, because when you look in, I was watching like a little short film on them, and they say that these people are like, when you go back to like how far back they go, they say it's like 100,000 years old. Those people, and I was like, whoa, that's pretty old. And they say that, and they're like, oh, it's just a big mystery. We just don't know where these people came from. The origins of them, we don't know. It's just a mystery.
Yeah.
So I was thinking they just came from underground.
They know, because they're not telling.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Every time I read, nothing is known in the dictionary or encyclopedia. Yeah. You guys are coding all of this stuff and you don't know? Come on.
Yeah. That's what they do. They code everything and then we don't know, but they still say it though without saying it. But, yeah.
Anyways, supper time soon.
Supper already? Only at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Did our friend get up there yet?
Not yet.
Oh, I thought he was up there.
Might be around the corner though. I was watching the video of Rose Bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
And the penultimate thing they showed on there was F-18 formation flying over the parade. And the formation they chose to fly was the missing man formation. Said, see, they knew that Scotty would go missing. They knew.
Wow, it's not like, do you get like a little like edgy, like when you know like there's you're like on the stage right now, when you have all eyes on you.
No, the cell told me don't worry about it. It'll all take care of itself. I said, why? What do you know? They said it's for our part of the book. You do your part of the book. We have our part of the book. Everything gets written down into the book of life. And one day somebody's going to have to answer to the things they did when they shouldn't have and the things they didn't do when they should have.
Mm-hmm.
And that will determine whether or not their DNA is worth retrieving or recombining.
Mm. So you think those people who like the system revised and uses their DNA again, like, do you think these people know that they were made from?
Most people
don't have a clue.
Don't want to know.
Oh. Yeah.
They get hints throughout their entire life, and knowing would get in the way to what they're doing because they're dealing with instant stuff. Instant gratification. But a few people get the hints. They don't catch on right away. Sometimes they don't want to catch on right away. But over time, it kind of nudges them every day, and eventually they give in and look into it.
Mm. Well, I want to know, man. I don't care if it's how bad it is. I have to know before I die.
The most important reason you're here.
Yeah.
If it wasn't learning, there's no purpose.
Do you think the cell could help me out? Find out.
The cell does what the cell does. I don't get the cell to do anything.
Yeah.
They don't even answer half of the questions I ask them.
Oh.
They have to choose you.
Oh.
And they choose you according to what they know about your background.
Mm.
Not just in this life, but where your DNA has been before.
But they would have to have access to it, and I never came in contact with, unless something I mailed to you had one.
You never know.
Well, they listen to my conversations too.
You never know. Every task has its specialist out there, and there's nothing that can be prejudged ahead of time. Look, in Congress there, you've got a joker as the speaker. What's his name there?
I don't know.
Came from someplace around Michigan there. Al Franken.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you guys got to have a good sense of humor to take a comedian and make him the Speaker of the House. Or a wrestler and make him the governor of the state.
Oh, actually, when you look at these things in politics, I was reading in Sonic. I don't know how do you do it? Like actually reading cover to cover, because I'm reading some stuff, a lot of stuff in the Masonic. A lot of it's boring, just large politics, large constitutions. I find it.
That's the whole purpose. Most of it is useless.
Yeah,
but it's designed in a way to hide the important stuff within it.
Yeah, and when you read, sometimes you'll see like one sentence, like, oh wow, that's
If you don't go to the trouble, it's like being a detective.
Yeah.
You sit in a car and wait at somebody's door for days and days and days, and nothing happens. And you'd say, why am I doing this? And then the key clue you're looking for happens, and you wouldn't have known unless you had spent those days there.
So you got to have a certain type of personality, or just the hunger.
Tenacity.
Tenacity?
Yeah.
Oh,
a
Tennessee.
City full of tens.
Tennessee? Mississippi, Tennessee?
Tennessee. T.
Oh.
Okay, gotta go.
Okay, Glenn.
Talk to you.
Bye
Bye for now.